Welcome to the Barker Podcast Collection.
I suck, you suck, I suck at Call of Duty. You suck.
Welcome to the Not Playing Podcast. My name's Rob Howard, and this week I'm joined by
Iain Bruce and Adam Scott. Hello.
You can contact us on email at notplayingpodcast@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter at notplayingpod. A game that we've all been playing quite a bit, some more than others, but we've all been playing it together, and that is Warhammer End Times Vermintide. It's basically a co-op Left 4 Dead type game, but in a kind of fantasy vein. We've mentioned it on the podcast before, and so we're all quite looking forward to playing it. So we all organised our shit and have been playing it together a few times. So what do we all think about this then?
Rubbish.
Looks crap.
I can tell by the amount of hours you've spent on it.
How many hours have you spent on it, Adam? I've not actually checked.
I don't know. Probably more than I ought to have done. Someone in my position. I've been fortunate enough that I've managed to find a few extra hours here and there to throw into it. Normally, when we finish playing on an evening, I'd say, I'll just play on for another match or two, and then it's 2 o'clock in the morning. And
that's all right, yeah.
Right,
Christ,
so
I remember those days.
You don't actually need to play a lot to level up. Well, what you need to do is actually finish the fucking map without all dying in order to gain levels, and therein is the crux of the game, because
The hook.
Yeah, it's the hook indeed. Yes, because it really does require teamwork. You can't lone wolf Vermintide.
No,
absolutely not.
the game. So I know we've said it's a Left 4 Dead alike, which I suppose it is true, and obviously there are huge comparison points with Left 4 Dead in the fact that there are you get besetted by hordes of enemies which you must dispatch to progress, or at least get through to the next section, and there are special enemies which have a very similar design ethos to the Left 4 Dead specials, but it's different from Left 4 Dead as in the fact that all the characters are not the same skill set with different skins on. They've all got different things that they are excelling at.
They very much sort of modelled the kind of RPG party tropes onto a real-time action
fantasy
game.
Tropes, isn't it?
Well, it is Warhammer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something we shouldn't forget. And actually, it's I don't know a lot about the End Times. In fact, I don't know an awful lot about Warhammer other than the fantasy roleplay, which we did quite a long time ago, as geek peers. But the End Times is a specific lore period in the Warhammer fantasy universe. I don't know if it's fantasy battle or whether it's the fantasy role playing stuff. I'm not sure, but it is a time when there are the world is coming to an end, and I think they've and so the role play party actually fits quite nicely in this. The overarching story is quite thin. You don't need to really follow it or understand it to enjoy the game, but each mission is a particular plot point, and you could imagine doing a role-playing game, sitting around a table and actually having to achieve some of this stuff in an evening's role-play session, which is kind of a nice. I think it's a nice spin on it, having had that history in the past. But the gameplay. What I like about it is it initially seems uncomplicated, but actually there's an awful lot of nuance to it, I think.
I think I said in the game last week how there was a bit of finesse to the melee combat, because as the dwarf tank that I've exclusively been playing
for the last 15 years. Yeah.
you've got like an axe and a shield, but you're spending a lot of your time sort of batting away the enemy and doing a lot of crowd control, while the melee guys do most of the damage dealing. So it's really cool. And once you get into that groove, like, you find yourself surviving a lot more, and you know, once everyone is doing their job, you know, that's the way to success, I suppose.
Yeah, it is.
Synergy. It's all about the synergy.
It is about synergy, and actually that makes it's a good point, because you know, every character has a melee weapon and a ranged weapon, and some you know, some, like the elf Waywatcher character, are, you know, they kind of lean. I think they're supposed to lean more towards the ranged stuff. I've seen a lot of guys who talk about the higher difficulty levels, the sort of Nightmare and Cataclysm levels, which we haven't dared even look at, let alone try.
Didn't even know they had them, to be honest.
Although, I think we're definitely surviving a bit more on, like, the normal difficulty, which at first was
I've been playing some hard matches, which with pugs, and what you notice is that communication helps a fuck of a lot, and also everyone sticking to the job that they've agreed to do is helps a lot. For instance, there's a number of places where you have to hold off the horde, and I found I was with a party I was playing the other day, and I was playing the Empire Soldier, and I was using my two-handed sword. And next to me there was a dwarf, and then I think we had the Bright Wizard and the Waywatcher behind. And we were holding this choke point, and I wasn't worrying. After I've been playing with these guys for about 5 minutes, I realised I only had to worry about my cone in a certain sector, and I was just bashing that, and I was relying on the fact that the other guys were taking care of their shit, and they were. And there wasn't an awful lot of random flailing about and running around in different directions and looking over there, and, you know, which I know I've been very guilty of in the past. But when the whole party kind of is in the zone, you can really, it makes a big difference. And I think it's either spoken or not spoken, but somehow you need to get that level playing this game where everyone's looking after their bit.
The pug groups that you've played with, were they using comms, or was it all typed?
A mix, to be honest. Okay. I found actually I've been pugging with American players quite often, and they tend to use comms more than the Brits do, or the Europeans do. Yeah. Although I was playing with a party that there was a French guy in there the other night, and he and I were sort of talking on comms quite a bit, and everyone else wasn't. And just as a natural result, we were kind of working together more, not just you do this, you do that, but because we were communicating with each other, it was easier for us to work together.
Sometimes that can give room for the other people who don't have comms to know what you guys are doing, so they'll fill the other roles. I
think some level of communication in this game is hugely beneficial. Even you don't have to have everyone talking, but as you say, if two guys are talking, the other guys at least know what they're doing, so they know that they don't have to necessarily catch up with that. But it doesn't take. I learned quite early on that, you know, even going, oh, well, I'm just going to go and look for a tome, or I'm just looking for healing, or I'm just doing for this, is a quick way to go for a party wipe. Unless everyone's
just trying to think who the last person was that would have said that.
I felt like sometimes I'm being like a sort of school trip teacher, like, come on everyone, stick together. What are you doing over there? Bloody hell! Come back here.
For the benefit of the dear listener, we should point out that the first time we did that, it was perhaps not the best gaming experience all of us have had. I'd certainly had a fucking cock of a day at work, and my tolerance levels for particular styles of gaming were perhaps running a little thin. However, we still had a good time, and the session ended well, but I think we came away from that with the understanding that Adam said, that the game is playable as a hack and slash. Well, we'll just flail around and stuff, but you won't get very far and you won't complete the levels.
Yeah, you can do that on easy, but you'll get no good loot or anything.
And the purpose of the completion of the levels is you get loot. You roll dice to get yourself loot that will give
Yeah.
you new weapons that you can, if the weapon is shit, you can combine them together to create a new weapon, or you can reverse engineer them into parts that you can use to unlock special abilities on some other weapons.
Yeah.
That's basically the brief for the whole game.
But if you don't,
But
but if you don't, then you get fuck all apart from
yes,
negligible XP, which
So
is not
it's-
worth it.
I think I absolutely agree that Left 4 Dead, there isn't really a class system there, but frequently when you were in combat with that, there was somebody who was, there might have been somebody staying back a bit and doing a bit of sniping. There was a little bit of that, but really not very much.
No,
it
there was kind
just,
of-
oh,
it was-
bang, bang.
It was kind of a soft class system because you could mix and match it up by choosing the weapons that you chose. So,
Yes.
you know, you either had the shotgun or the automatic rifle or the
yeah,
sniper
absolutely.
rifle.
But this, and I absolutely agree. It doesn't force the class system, but if you're not exploiting at least some of the abilities of your class, you're just giving yourself more work to do.
Yeah.
So the tanks, the last time we played, it was awesome, and the time before that. But the tanks are tanking. The bright wizard with the fiery balls of fun it's staying back a bit or mixing it up when needed. And there's just more communication about what we're doing, and that's initially what I think we were missing.
Yeah.
And there was, we've got to kill everything here.
Yeah. No, you really
no,
don't.
You don't. You just no. There's no point. It's just nobody cares.
There will always be more rats. You just
Yeah.
need
Yeah,
to. You
absolutely.
know, you
It's
will
not
never
going to
run out of
stop
rats.
throwing them at you.
No,
You'll
just do
going,
your job. Go on and do your job.
You're being like a drummer. No offense to any drummers. I'll just wave things around and make some noise.
Yeah.
Although some drummers are quite organised.
Yes, that's not. I've only there's a guy at work who plays drums, and we've been having banter.
Speaking of banter,
yes.
what do you think of the inter-character banter in the game?
I find it extremely amusing, but I wonder if we play for another 3 months for this, if it will still be amusing. I think it might be, because it's very...
Medicine here.
Yes.
Holy Sigma, bless this ravaged body.
Yes.
I do find it funny when my dwarf sort of just charges in singing a song or something.
Yeah, that's the stealthy dwarf.
Yeah,
Well, I actually, one of my favourite things about the banter between the characters is that if you bunny hop all over the place, one of the other characters will pick you out for it. Like if you if you jump up and down all over the place, for instance, the witch hunter will say, "For God's sake, man, have some decorum! Stop leaping around like an idiot!" Or words to that effect, you know.
I also like
Okay,
how the
cool.
dwarf, how he's properly in scale, and sometimes there'll be crates up on things, and you go, "Oh, there's a potion up there," and it's like, "Oh God, I've got to it's like a little platform
Somebody
game as I
lift the
find my way."
dwarf.
Toss
Or,
me, toss me.
oh my god, I'm standing in a lake. No, it's just a puddle.
Yeah, we were going through. There was a little lake bit, and I was right up to my chin in this water.
And it was to the top of our boots. Oh, it's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Apparently, if you lob a grenade and you don't hit anything, the other characters take the piss out of you for it. There was I haven't seen this, but there was someone discussing it on Reddit, and they were saying the witch hunter in his party, the witch hunter lobbed a grenade and missed everyone, and the Welf was like, "Really, Saltspire? Not one?" I think actually they've done. I mean, a lot of the banter in the game is pointing out stuff. It's more like player aid, "Oh, I smell I hear a gutter runner," or I hear something special coming. But there is you do get some pickup on the inter-character party stuff. For instance, when you're in one of the elevators and you're going up, there's normally some slightly more plot-orientated banter about,
But Left 4 Dead kind of had that, but without the humour.
Yeah,
without
I think
as much of the humour.
I think it did. In fact, I think actually Left 4 Dead has slightly more, inter-character burn type stuff in many places. But I think it is nicely done, and it does give each character a bit more personality. That's exactly the word. Yeah, personality. So, and I think actually the way, having played around it a bit, the way that the world has been realised by the developers is absolutely fucking spot on for the source material.
It looks stunning in places.
It really does. It really does. And I know I think the developers are doing a pretty good job recently. I mean, it's been a little bit buggy initially on release. There have been a few issues, like the special that grabs you with the hook. The pack master is able to pull you off platforms like 3 stories high and stuff like that. And when he's on the ground, it's stupid, like ridiculous reach and all kinds of stuff like that. But they have been working on it. They've released a number of patches, and I think they've optimized the gameplay a bit. I certainly seem to be getting a higher frame rate.
Yeah, it's improving
before.
Every time there's a patch for me.
Yeah, exactly. Although I've turned anti-aliasing off and the motion blur and stuff, and that's improved my frame rate quite a bit.
Yeah, I had everything on, but that one of the missions we went to, was it the Garden of Moor, I think, where there's a lot of like particle effects like that. Yeah. Really, I was down to 30 in that. Yeah. But I think I could probably turn off some of those little objects or whatever it is, the slider that was set down by default. I was just let's see. It
uses the Adobe Stingray engine.
Yeah, what else uses that?
Adobe bought that game engine. If a quick Google will give it was the Bit Effects or Bitchy Titty or something. That's not the name of the engine at all. There was a medieval hack and slash called fuck.
Oh, I think it's by the same developer. It's Fatshark Games, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'm just going to look now because that's going to bug me, and I'm going to be.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It was one of those melee-based arena kind of games. I guess.
War of the Roses. That was the other one.
War
of the Roses.
Yeah. So was probably
the Bit Squid was the engine. That was the engine. It works for the current gen and previous gen consoles, not the Xbox One, apparently. Although that's Windows, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Autodesk bought Bit Squid in June 2014. And then that became the Stingray game engine. I was at a VR thing in London a couple of months ago, and Autodesk were there doing massive demos of it, and everybody was going, "Holy shit, that's amazing!" Because one of the things you can do is real-time rendering of stuff for development.
Okay.
So you can do VR stuff. You can build a scene in the game world and see it immediately in VR, and tweak it in the engine and see it immediately in VR. A bit like Unity does, really. So I'm not going to dismiss Unity, but it does look beautiful, and I think for modelers and people who aren't necessarily programmers, it looks to be a great system.
Yeah.
The recent Gauntlet used it, and also Helldivers, which I think Radjet was talking about.
Yes. Yeah.
Sony game, but that's apparently coming to PC. I heard so.
I think the big question is: are you guys enjoying it? Are you actually enjoying playing?
I mean, go on.
After the first week, I was absolutely not, but I'm aware there was an outside of game agenda going on in my head that was just making me a bit ragey. But I am enjoying it, and for me, the main reason that I'm enjoying it is obviously love playing with you guys, not in the biblical sense, but it's the fact that it's not just it's not Left 4 Dead. It feels like if Rob's over there doing something as a dwarf, I'll leave him to do that, and I'll turn around and see what I can do behind him, so to speak. So it seems like a much more class-based, we've each got a role and a purpose. Yeah. Like when we used to play Armour and the tactical kind of games, where it's, you keep cone of fire over there and do this. But I appreciate that genre isn't for everybody, but this has little bits of that. Or it's like it's even like squad stuff in Battlefield 4.
Yeah.
If you get a decent squad who are all doing their roles, the pilot's doing his shit, the gunners, the tankers covering you as you go and capture the flag, it is just breathtakingly awesome. And this has that kind of thing, with the added bonus that it's the people that I enjoy playing games with the most, instead of having to find random groups like Red Orchestra 2 and stuff. There is some amazing teamwork there that you would go, holy fuck, that's amazing. Yeah. But you're never going to play the game, so I need to, you find groups of people that will play that game with you. But this seems to be a game that we can play and do that. I can get from it what I want from it, from playing with you guys, and everybody having something to do apart from, there's a zombie!
Yeah.
which was which works for Left 4 Dead, but I think we'd done that for about 30 years.
We did.
It felt like.
I mean, the thing about Left 4 Dead, and I suppose this game as well, is this is kind of it's a different. I mean, this is much more melee orientated, although obviously there is range stuff as well. But it's still going for that. It's still going for that like big adrenaline push, you know, of like fighting off the horde and trying to survive the massive tank stroke ogre attack and all the rest of it. But yeah, there is. Oh God, for me, it's intensely. There's something intensely satisfying about swinging a two-handed weapon and seeing like a whole arc full of rats just falling apart in pieces. You know, I know that's quite a violent way of putting things, but it is quite a violent game. I mean, you know, it is about, you know, you get the best results by trying to aim your weapon at the enemy's head. You know, if you're having a big hammer or something, you bring it down at a big two-handed arc, and it'll a rat's head will just evaporate into a big.
It's just so beautiful when you've kind of got a bit of a swing going on, and then you turn the camera around and you just totally smash some.
Like charge up a big.
And sometimes it's by accident, but you just get this amazing sort of. It's just like this vitriolic sort of. It's just awesome. Like you know, I get the whole seeing red thing quite regularly while I'm playing it, but. Yeah, as for whether I'm enjoying it, when I first saw the game, like the whole pitch for me was like, this is basically an engine to facilitate playing with you guys, doing co-op stuff. And for me, that's probably 75% of why I'm playing it, and where the enjoyment's coming from. It's cool that you're still having fun with pickup groups and stuff, but I mean, that's not really for me. There's other things I want to play, and that's why I've kind of stuck to the one class, because I just wanted to sort of, for the amount of time I'm playing it, I just wanted to sort of focus on that and just specialise really. One thing I did want to ask you about pickup groups, Adam, is I heard that there was like sort of a tendency to sort of play some of the sort of smaller games to sort of grind more gear and stuff. A lot of people were doing that.
Well, what I've found is there is a tendency for people to grind Horn of Magnus, which is the prologue.
That's still quite a big map, that.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's actually the thing about the Horn of Magnus is because most players have played that. Well, nearly everyone must have played that because it's like the prologue type message. That everyone kind of knows the map. Most people know that map better than any of the others, right?
Yeah.
So if you are pugging, then it's kind of a safer bet for some players to do it. Secondly, most players know where the tomes and the grimoires are on that map by now. Whereas that's the only map I know where everything is. I don't know where all the tomes and grimoires are that give you, just for anyone that hasn't played, you can, through the map, you can pick up tomes, which are special books that you have to carry until the end of the level. And if you carry it all the way through, then you get extra chances of getting better loot at the end of the game.
The trade-off being, of course, that takes up a slot that you would use for health.
Yeah, it's the slot. You can put it down and pick up a health and heal yourself and then pick it up again, but you have to remember to do that. Grimoires are slightly more sinister, in that you pick them up, you can't carry one of your power-up potions because it takes the same slot, but if you pick up a power-up potion after you pick a grimoire, the grimoire evaporates into dust and you've lost it forever. And also carrying the grimoire reduces the total amount of health for the entire party, meaning, and so grimoires are kind of like a tool that you can choose to employ or not to increase the difficulty of any given map, for the reward of getting better loot at the end of the game, or the chance to get better loot at the end of the game. So
it's like an in-game mutator that offers a significant reward.
Because the loot system is a bit grindy at the moment, certainly. Most people are trying to get as many tomes and grimoires out of a level as they possibly can. So what I've found is that it's if you want to play Horn of Magnus, there's loads of people playing Horn of Magnus because people are just farming it. They're just absolutely farming it. Because one of the other reasons is that the finale is probably one of the easiest ones out of the game. Certainly, you know, there's you at the end of this map, you blow this great big horn to where tell everyone that there's a Skaven attack, and then there's a huge onslaught of rats that you have to kill. And there's certain areas in the map that you can group up, and it's much easier to fight them off and defend yourself. So it's considered probably one of the easiest finales to do in the entire game. It's the prologue, why wouldn't it be? But people can just play that over and over again and increase their loot chances. So I've been trying to, when I've been pugging, I've just kind of gone any map rather than trying to pick anything particular, because I haven't had the greatest success in picking certain maps. So I just tend to do any. If it's Horn of Magnus, I tend to just try and do something else. But I don't think. I think overall, you see, the thing is, the shorter maps, you don't get any tomes or grimoires, so the sort of side missiony type maps. So although they are quicker to resolve and you can get more in, really you just get an XP and then you get a standard loot chance at the end.
It's like doing the quarter machines in Vegas. Or the 5-cent machines in Vegas.
I guess
you can do them lots, but you're not going to win anything good.
No, you're not going to win. You're not going to win the one with big bugs. But the danger of doing the more involved maps, all the other stuff is. The other day at the weekend, I managed to get about an hour of time in. I joined this group right near the beginning of. I think it was. Under the Earth, I forget what the map's called, but the one we have to go. Anyway, you have to go. It's quite long. It's about half an hour or so to do the whole thing. And both times we did this map twice. We failed at the end, and we did the map again because we were working quite well together as a group, and we failed twice. That was basically an hour of gameplay, with basically no progression, if you like, or no loot at the end, and that's a little bit frustrating. But it's kind of part and parcel of the game, and we were playing on hard, so. That's kind of, I think that kind of really encourages, it certainly encourages me to communicate more than perhaps I have done in other games where I'm just playing pickup groups. Yeah. In other pickup groups in games, it's quite easy just to go, oh fuck, I don't care about these people, I'm just playing, I just won't bother about coordinator. I can't be bothered to talk. It happens. I mean, when people do start talking, it's great because you can really work together. But in this game, if you don't communicate, you really all got to be shit hot. Otherwise, you've got to have that unspeaking knowing between people to really put it off, or all be really good players. Because if you don't, then you're going to get all the way to the end, you're going to get steamrolled, and that's basically half an hour of your gameplay. I had great fun slashing rats and killing them. I had great fun doing that, but it would have been nice to get something better out of the end other than 200 XP, which is basically nothing at the end of the fucking day. Oh
dear, look at what you've become, mate. I'm just doing it for the loots.
Give me the loots.
The thing is about the whole loot grind and stuff is that ultimately, I mean, what is the point? Is it to kill the final baddie? Does he require a significant amount of?
The point is to just have fun along the way.
Yeah, it has the fun. I mean, that's the point. Look, the loot is the carrot that they give you to keep playing, right? And the fact is, yes, when you do get better loot, you think, oh, this is nice, and I get better swords, and it's got these things on it, and it gives you something else to do. But at the end of the day, I'm playing with what I've got. I'm quite happy. I just enjoy stabbing rats in the eye. Right.
I suppose it might give you an edge on the higher difficulties. Perhaps.
Well, no, that's the point. In the higher difficulties, you really need the better gear because you've got to take down rats quicker. You've got to have the benefits, because there's loads of different benefits you can get from this loot, like better, it gives you health back on kills, and there's a chance that it doesn't cost you ammunition or it refills your ammo thing or whatever. So there's loads and loads of different benefits you can have, but it comes to a point. I've seen some guys on Reddit that have just got stacks and stacks and stacks of orange gear, which is like the top legendary loot.
Yeah.
Because they've been playing it, farming it for so, and there's nothing you can do with orange gear if you don't use it. And you can't, at the moment, you can't choose what loot you get at the end of the game. Basically, you roll your dice and you're given what you're given. One of the changes they're going to be putting in the next big patch is you roll your dice, and then I think you can choose an item of loot that's at the level you've won or below. So,
right.
Okay.
So if you want to get, if you're the witch hunter and you want to get a new rapier or something, but it's one below, instead of getting that bright wizard staff that you're never ever going to use, you can pick that up, which is great. The future DLC that they're talking about, because it's these end times stuff, I think they're going to be introducing beastmen and undead. I don't know whether it's a good thing or not. But
as NPCs, as enemies
instead of Skaven.
okay.
I know it's called Vermintide. That's the game. But I think because they kind of hinted at the fact that there will be other cities that are being beset by other enemies. You know, this end times thing is all about the human race being consumed or whatever. So, and I think that will certainly add a lot more longevity to the game, or at least variety, if not longevity. To it.
Have they said anything about new playable characters yet?
No, I don't know whether they will. I don't know whether there'll be new ones coming in or not. I don't know. It's all kind of vague at the moment.
I want my troll hunter.
Yeah, troll hunter. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I would say overall, I'd recommend this to anyone that likes a good co-op game, because I think it's one of the best ones out there, actually, to be honest.
And has friends.
Yeah. You don't have to have friends. It's fine.
You don't have to. I think they really help.
But the purpose of these games, one of the purposes, is to make friends. Sure.
Exactly.
Well, yeah,
exactly.
That's it.
I just want to mention Rocket League, which has been out for a while now, and it is basically football with cars. And you may, dear listener, be wondering why I'm talking about this game, as I like shooties and MMOs and not sporty stuff at all. I like it because unless something dramatic happens in the next month and a half, it's going to be one of my games of the year, because it is amazing. It is absolutely amazing.
I had a very brief go of it round at Patrick's at the weekend, and I can completely understand why, even though I haven't spent enough time with it for it to be one of mine.
Cool. Good. Well, that's good. It's one of those games where it's easy to master but difficult, easy to learn but difficult to master. Friend of the show, Redcheck, and I have been playing it for a couple of weeks now, maybe a week and a bit. And because it's 3-a-side, it's very easy to work together to get goals done, great defence. All the power-ups, I think, are cosmetic, so it's really just down to how you know. Your car can jump to kick the ball. There's sides. You're basically playing in a goldfish bowl, really. So you can drive up the sides and underneath the roof and stuff. The pitch is small enough that if the ball goes down the other end, you can be there in a second and a half. So both Radchick and I initially, when we started playing it, said it's like kids playing football on the playground at lunchtime. There's a ball and everybody's running after it, and that's all it is. But by Christ, it's well executed.
The ball is quite massive, actually, bigger than I was expecting.
Ball, yeah. It's bigger than probably twice the size of the cars, which leaves. And because you can jump and flip the cars forward, it gives you great opportunity to jump and then give it a whack with your car.
It's like Matchbox cars with a tennis ball.
Probably with a football. I think the ball is it's bigger.
Oh, is it even bigger than that? Well, okay.
Yeah, but it's great. I think I got it for. It's 12 quid on Steam. It might be less than that. And the other thing the people playing it have been really friendly so far. There have been zero dicks. I've actually added somebody as a friend on Steam, which hasn't happened for a while because of this, and he's been joining Radcheck and I for some sessions. So it seems to have a good player base. It might just be because we're at the earlier levels, and as you get pro and super pro, you become a bit of a dick. But it's just been really good fun.
Yeah, I think it's the kind of game that kind of is a bit of a curiosity, and so I think you might end up with a bit more of a sort of casual sort of player base at early levels, perhaps. I mean,
a load of YouTubers did a lot of stuff with it when it came out, and that was okay. You know, that's what they do. But it seems to still be going strong. Yeah.
From what I've seen of it, it just looks like immensely fun. You know, that's.
It is. I don't like driving games. I don't like sports games.
No,
I don't
neither.
like competitive sports games. But I just can't get enough of this. Jesus.
What's quite unique about it as well is that it's a football game. I know it's with cars and it's ridiculous, but it's a sort of team-based, sporty sort of premise.
It is.
But you're only playing it from the one point of view. Like in FIFA, you are passing the ball to
you're playing
various AIs.
that car.
Yeah, you are that car, and you have to get into position manually.
Yes, and a bit like Vermintide, if you're not playing as a team, you will lose consistently. So you don't have to be in goal, but if you're on one of the wings going forward, you should pass the ball over to somebody waiting in the middle and not believe you can take the ball through 3 cars trying to stop you, because you won't be able to. So you pass the ball over, somebody else scores, they do it for you next time. And I've seen that again and again, and Redchick and I have been doing that, and been doing it with other people, and it works really well. And I've not really seen a game where you have to let other people take the glory.
Yeah.
And people are letting other people take the glory, and that's really refreshing.
Is it 5-a-side?
It's 3-a-side.
3-a-side. I didn't think it was that many, but it makes sense.
I also believe it's cross-platform.
Really?
Or cross-platforms coming. I think there is discussion about it. I'm trying to stay away from the forums because it's just 6 cars kicking a ball around the field. How much discussion can there be had?
I must not get too into this.
Oh, I don't know. No. There will be lots of discussion from the theory crafters and number crunchers.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, but
Min maxes.
I don't want to. I want to stay away from that for this, and just have a laugh with it.
This has been the Not Playing Podcast in partnership with notlistening.co.uk, where you can also hear myself and Ian talk about movies and TV on the Not Watching Podcast, and Adam, not that one, Ash and Will talk about all manner of funny things on the Not Listening Podcast. You can also let us know what we're doing right or wrong via email at notplayingpodcast@gmail.com, or you can tweet at or follow us on Twitter at notplayingpod. You can find the show notes for this show at notlistening.co.uk, and if you're listening to us on iTunes, please do give us a review. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for listening. See ya!
Let's not get carried away.
Edison!
I'm inclined to agree 'cause I suck at Call of Duty.